I'm John Henry Scott, author, spiritual teacher, and spiritual life coach. And I want to welcome you to the podcast, Living in Frequency. Loved ones, I want to welcome you to Living in Frequency. I'm your host, John Henry Scott, and together we're tuning into the currents of love, joy, and peace. The frequencies that heal, awaken, and remind us of who we really are. This isn't about religion. It's not about politics or another self-help checklist. This is about alignment. It's that deep vibrational hum that's inside of your being and it was here before the noise, and it was here long before anybody told you who you were, and it'll be here long after. So take a breath, soften your shoulders, and remember you are not here to survive life. You are here to resonate with it, and you are living frequencies. So let's step in together. Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 4. Yeah, I think it's episode 4, Living in Frequency. I hope you've enjoyed the podcast so far. It's been quite interesting because really it's been very personal. The first couple of episodes, I just wanted to share with you where my heart and mind is at this time in my particular spiritual journey. And, this is a spiritual podcast, but, I personally, and you can ask the guest who is going to be on here with us today, and she'll actually corroborate this story. I am the kind of person who believes really ultimately that everything is somewhat spiritual, and that includes having fun and just living life on the regular. But last week I had the pleasure of interviewing my eldest daughter, Ashton. We talked to her about her being in doula work, yoga, and even her witchiness, not bitchiness, her witchiness, and her being an activist and an abolitionist and a part of the Q plus community. It was a great conversation, and I was honored to have her on the show. Today, I'm especially honored to have someone on the show who has lived very close proximity with me for the last 8 years and is somebody that I consider to be my life partner, my love, my best friend. And we're just going to have fun chatting today. We've had so many opportunities to converse over the last 7, 8 years, actually. And we've never recorded it, but today we're recording it. So I'm inviting you all to welcome onto the show, and I'm welcoming onto the show my wife, my best friend, my life partner, Kerri Bell Scott. Welcome to the show.
Hey, y'all. I'm glad to be here. This is such an honor. It's actually my very first podcast ever. So you guys are getting it live and in person.
And the first time ever. So there it is. You have a great voice for radio, and you have that southern swag too. So got a little bit of that Georgia in you, which I love.
I do.
Um,
Can't take the country out of the girl.
that's right. That's very true. So so everybody knows a little bit of background and actually present moment. Kerri has been um my life partner as a wife for just over 7 years. Our 7th anniversary was back in June. So, walking up on 7.5 years. But it was really back in 2021. And actually, I would say probably about May of 2020 that she started helping me with my work in life, which is ministry. And she started helping me with all of the live streaming that we had to do for while the pandemic for Unity of Chattanooga. I was still the spiritual leader there until the end of 2020, and she started helping with all of that stuff. And um, then she just kind of stayed in that with me, and we've ended up working together now since 2020. She helped me with launching One Love Consciousness Movement. And then we moved together down to St. Petersburg, Florida, and that's the area we live in now. And she actually works at First Unity Spiritual Campus as an employed person. She is my associate minister presently. Has and that was like her jumping off into the deep end of something she had never done before. She's actually an ordained minister. She's in the process and enrolled in the School of Human Divinity, going to be, learning even more about what ministry is. So that's pretty neat. Just kind of wanted to give you a background that she and I work together uh, nearly every day of the week, and unless she's at an amusement park without me, and then she's being amused, and but she works with me. So I'm honored to have her on today and just to talk to her. So I'm not gonna I'm not gonna monopolize this conversation. I want to get into some questions, um, Kerri, because we're going to converse in a way that we don't normally converse, and that's basically over the airways. So here are the questions. If our love story, and I have no idea, folks, how she's going to answer this, but if our love story was a movie, what would the title be?
So for me, and I'm jumping the gun because obviously we're still alive and together, but I would say P.S. I Love You. If anyone has not seen that movie, I suggest it. It's phenomenal. It makes you laugh, it makes you cry, you go through all of the emotions. But this couple, had been together for a while, loved each other, and he ends up dying. And he leaves her wonderful love letters to remind them of how amazing she is and how she can do anything in life and just really to continue to boost her up, not necessarily to remind them of each other, but really more for her because, she was so, in love with him and it was so tragic. But that would be us, honey. I mean, if one of us were to go, I absolutely could see or we knew we were going to, be passing away, we would absolutely do that and lift each other up to make sure that, no matter what, you are an individual, that you are going to continue on in your life and you're going to do great things. So that would be our love story movie for sure.
Yeah, so I don't plan on dying of cancer ever, and
Yes.
certainly not anytime soon. But you're right. You and I've watched that movie together multiple times, and and listen, if I get to play the part of Gerard Butler in your life, I'm down with it. That's awesome. And he is Irish too, and
Mm.
I'm a little more Scottish than Irish, but I don't mind it at all. All right. That's great. Okay, so P.S. I Love You. It's a great movie. Okay, so what's one, let me see how I'm gonna frame this question. What's one simple joy that always lifts you up, always gives you extra good vibes and frequencies? Like, what's one simple joy in life that just, I don't know, lights your fire?
So that's easy. I knew this right away. Watching Hallmark movies, and it doesn't have to be Christmas Hallmark movies. It can be any time of the year Hallmark movies. I absolutely love them. A lot of people think they're cheesy, but to me, when I watch a Hallmark movie with my glass of red wine, I am taking myself out of everyday life of whatever stresses are going on, and I am immersed in love, joy, positive endings, people having fun, smiling. It's like an overload of happiness to me. And so no matter what's going on in my life, if I turn on a Hallmark movie, I'm immediately lifted. I mean, it really does it for me. It's a nice, I wouldn't say it's an escape because I don't want to escape life, but it's a nice way for me to reconnect with love, joy, and peace through the screen and watching other people, I guess, show each other love, joy, and peace. So I love it. Hallmark movies are my jam. And then, thankfully, John, you watch them with me some. I'm not the only one that watches them, especially during Christmas, but they are absolutely just a wonderful addition to showing love, joy, and peace every day.
Yeah, well, listen, folks, I'm gonna let you behind the scenes of the Scott household. So, this is something that we do pretty much every year, because we don't watch a lot of TV. We actually I think you and we may have had satellite or cable or something for, like, the first year we were together, but then we were done with it, and I haven't had, cable or satellite in, like, I don't know, 15 years. Have done a lot of streaming, but, one thing that we do when football season comes in is the trade-off is we get YouTube TV, right? Or Sling or some of the others, right, that have local TV and live TV, and that's so that I can watch football and so that she can watch, Hallmark. And so that's kind of the trade-off that we have, and so instead of paying for it year round, seriously, we actually get it end of September, 1st of October through January so that we can catch up on football and on,
Yes,
the, Hallmark films. But, hey, there's something else though, because I know that that's a simple joy, but talk to us a little bit about your concept of fun, because you are somebody that I definitely admire, and I think other people should take a cue out of your book, of life living. You have a saying that you use called "funding your fun,"
I do.
and talk to us a little bit about that and what it means to you, seriously.
Well, it's important to, remember to have fun in life. I mean, I feel like sometimes with everything going on with the stresses of work and children and relationships and everything else that you forget to have fun. You forget to laugh. You forget to enjoy something extracurricular. And so I've always been big on that. Um, Particularly, I love amusement parks. Like John said, I love amusement parks. It's an immersive experience for me. It's not just riding rides, it's the sounds, it's the smells, it's the way the ride, seat feels beneath my hands. So it's just overall, like, I feel I have so much fun when I'm able to fully immerse myself in situations like that. But if not amusement parks, bowling. You can have fun going bowling as well. That's another sensory thing, hearing the cracking of the pins going down. So for me, I like a fully immersive experience of something that I consider fun. But, it doesn't have to be something so big and grandiose. I mean, you could literally have fun, trying a new recipe at home, or you could have fun by, walking down to the riverfront if you live near water. I mean, there's so many different ways to have fun, but just remember in life to stop, take a break, and find something that you consider fun, because it definitely will lift your mood for sure.
So you believe in budgeting though, because I like the statement that you use regularly, "Fund your fun." You believe in budgeting that people probably don't take it. I don't wanna use the word serious because, I mean, we're kind of talking the opposite of serious, but you're saying that you think people will have a more fulfilled, happy, and healthy life if they actually budgeted fun into their budget.
Absolutely. Yes, for sure. I have always done that. Even before John and I, became married or became partners. It's absolutely important. No matter what kind of budget you are on, you can absolutely find a little something extra to store away. And even if you need to save up for that trip or save up for that experience, it absolutely is important, because if you do not fund your fun, you may not have fun. You may not do those things. You may, find yourself making excuses. I can't afford it, or, well, I'd rather put that money towards something else that would be more important. But having fun is absolutely important. It's all about balance in life, and
So important.
without fun, I mean, to me, it's just it's repetitive. Whatever you're doing would just be repetitive, and I don't know, I like to spice things up. I've always been that way.
Spicy.
Yeah.
One thing that you can fund your fun with, and it's a little bit of funding, is to skinny dip in the pool in the backyard. So I'm just saying, folks, find a way to
And that
have
doesn't cost anything. I'm just saying that's something
it,
I don't
except for maybe the school pump, the pool pump.
you're
Maybe I
right.
don't know, whatever. But I guess you're funding that anyway because you're going to have a pool. Okay, so taking another just a little bit of a turn, going a little bit in a different direction.
Mhm.
Um, let's talk about your journey a little bit. And I know that this is something that you're still walking out. I'm still walking it out. And anybody who is attempting to grow in life is still walking it out. But what has shaped your sense of spirituality and your relationship with God or the divine or source? I mean, people have so many different words. But what do you, and it doesn't have to be one thing, but
Mm.
maybe what sticks out to you that is currently shaping your sense of spirituality?
Well, actually, I don't wanna say current, I wanna start from the beginning, because,
Okay. Yeah.
most people would not know that I did not grow up religious or spiritual. So I kind of felt more agnostic in my life. I've always been curious, and I always thought there was something. I just never knew what. And so I've kind of lived in that up until meeting John, and entering into a relationship with John. And so listening to John and being kind of around John in the early stages of our marriage, kind of just got me even more curious. It started piquing my interest. But what really started shaping it would have been in 2020 when we went through the shutdown, and John decided to start his online ministry, One Love. And it was just John and I in our little studio that we had in our home, and I was running sound and cameras and lights, and John was talking in front of in front of the cameras. And so I'm there for an hour. I mean, I'm the one filming and going through it, so I had nothing else to do but listen. And so after, 6 months, 8 months, 9 months of listening to all of his messages and his sermons and the way he views spirituality and how uplifting it is and how, interesting it is, I began to absorb it, and I began to realize that this may be my path. This may be something I'm interested in pursuing. And so once, we did all of our filming and John received the opportunity to come where we are now in St. Petersburg to an actual church, I was absolutely more receptive to that because I felt like I had had, several months of not ingrainment, but really just absorbing what John had to offer. And I was very much interested in it. So, I mean, that absolutely has shaped it. Now I'm continuing to grow every day. There are, certain things that John will say that I don't agree with, or I don't feel like feels, flows with me, but then I question that. And then John and I will talk about it. So, John, I will say I am very grateful for you in that department because before you, I was open and curious, but I had no desire really to pursue anything. I just kind of lived in the unknown, but now, and I still live in the unknown, but because of you, you have really helped me unfold and really open up myself to more spirituality and the divine and just being present in what is, instead of what it could be, just what it is, just being.
Hmm. All right. Well, it has been beautiful to watch you grow, and hopefully, you'd be able to testify to this that that's not something that I've ever pressured you to be. Like, it's not ever my desire to push anyone into those environments. But I will say thank you, uh, really publicly here on this podcast for jumping in the way you did, and especially in 2020 when we had to start filming from our living room, at first for Unity of Chattanooga. It's from our living room, and we were trying to figure out the whole process, and you jumped right in and helped with that, and it just kept improving. So I really appreciate that. What is a moment that you feel like, though, is there a particular moment that you can point to where you sort of had a sense of awakening, like aha, as Oprah calls it, a shift for you?
Oh, yes, absolutely, and I know you know where I'm going with this. So probably 2 years ago, I believe, I was already, working with John in the ministry at First Unity, on my path, really, opening up more and more, but not really knowing what my purpose is. I mean, even now, I still think that can shift and can change. It can flow. But I wasn't really sure what I was doing. I was just like, okay, I know I'm supportive and I love our community and I love being a part of a group of enlightened, open-minded people, but I didn't know what my purpose was. And so we're going on a cruise about 2 years ago with a couple, that attend our community as well, and we're sitting at the dinner table, and all of a sudden, I don't know, I just had this, moment. I got very hot, and I got very, aware, like heightened senses, and I turned to, the lady that was with us, Amy, and said, "Oh my god, Amy, I know what my purpose is." And she just kinda looked at me like, "What?" Because it was out of the blue, random. I mean, literally nothing. We weren't even talking spirituality. And I told her, I said, "I believe I'm an anchor." And she just kinda looked at me and I said, "An anchor. I'm a grounding presence. I'm a grounding energy for people who need a safe space." And
Mm,
I just started crying and it overtook me, and that's when I knew I had found my purpose. And so, what is an anchor? What does that mean? Explain that. All I can say is, like, for John, for example, he is a visionary. He is in the clouds, flying high, all these ideas. And sometimes, those people need to be kind of reined in or kind of anchored in. And so, like, for myself, my grounding energy and just the way that I carry myself, I can be that anchor for people like that. I can help ground them or maybe bring them back in a little bit, rein them back in a little bit. Um, I don't know, it was all I can say, guys, is it was a wonderful moment, and I don't know if anybody has had those kind of, like, epiphanies where it just, like, the light bulb came on for you, but it was phenomenal, and I will forever be grateful for that moment because now that I know I'm aware and I have admitted to myself what that is, now I can work with that and flow with that wherever it takes me.
That's awesome. One of the things that everybody who is from our community here in Florida can agree to and attest to is that you're also an anchoring force or anchoring energy for our community. And what I
Mhm.
mean is creating that safe environment where people, when they come through the door, they know they feel welcomed. They typically they're going to see just about everyone's going to see you. You're going to be one of the first people they see with a smile, with a hug, with a kind welcome. And that's a powerful, powerful ministry that I think often gets overlooked because of what is seen in the public as ministry. And I'm air quoting here ministry, and that is either singing songs or giving sermons or leading meditations. That's what people really think ministry is, and that's a part of it. But yours, to me, is as powerful, if not more powerful, because you individually make connection with people every week,
Mhm.
week after week. It's pretty powerful.
I've
So,
been Sorry.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I've been told before that I am a healer from a couple people in our community, and I didn't quite understand what that means, but now I believe I get it. So that is my ministry, like you said there, John. I'm a healer. I'm healing energy, grounding energy, a happy, bubbly, loving presence for our community and really for anyone that I meet. I definitely so, like I said, I'm willing to flow and grow with wherever that takes me, but I know the root of it. I know like where the root of it is, and the rest can just kind of sprout from there.
Beautiful. So, with that being said, okay, because I have created and cultivated over the years a public persona, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and what I mean by that is that what I do is a little more loud because it's like from a platform, it's with a microphone, it's cameras, there's video footage out there all over the place of me doing music and doing message, leading meditations, and you name it. How do you balance your own personal identity? How do you balance personal identity with being married to me, who seemingly is more in the public eye?
So for me, this has never been a struggle. And I don't know if it's because prior to marrying you, I've already felt fairly balanced and confident. Confidence has never been, one that I've really struggled with. Certain areas maybe, but overall, I've been fairly confident with who I am as a person and what I offer. But I mean, I have my own goals. I have my own dreams. There are things that I enjoy of my own. So for me, it's not a it's I don't it's not a struggle to balance my own personal identity. I feel like you have a wonderful vision and a wonderful set of skills and what you're on a mission to do. I just want to support that. So for me, I don't need to hide in the shadows of you. I also don't need to be upfront with you. I can walk alongside with you. So balance, it's never been a problem.
That's awesome. No, that's great. And because people, I think again, there's a perception of first lady, ministers' wives, that there's a certain way to be. I remember when we first we first accepted the call to come here. I remember conversations that we had where you were like, "Look, I don't know that I want this whole first lady thing." Like I'm like, "What?" And you said, What is that? What do they even do? Like, I gotta know. What do they do? Because this is a little strange." Like, because we're talking about somebody who'd never been a member of a church before, folks, and then all of a sudden she's getting titles like first lady, right? So
Yeah.
I remember our conversation, and I think, and I'm paraphrasing probably. I think I pretty much said, look, there's no manual for this, just make it your own. Just show up as you. You don't even have to have the title of the first lady stuff. Like titles are not a big deal. And you did, though. You just fell right into not being first lady, but being Kerri. And you made that whatever title people assume you have,
Mm.
you really made it fit you. Actually, you forced it to fit you instead of trying to fit into that particular mold. And man, I honor that. It's really pretty neat to watch you walk that out.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. You're right. I mean, I was a little concerned about what duties or responsibilities would be required of me or expected of me, but then I just kind of I just did what I do best, and that's love people, and that's be there for people, and it seems to work. People love it, and so first lady Carrie, I'm just being me, and
That's awesome.
it seems to be enough, and I know it's enough. It doesn't seem to be. I know it's enough because it shows every Sunday.
Yeah, and one of our core values in our community is authenticity, and that means to just show up fully as yourself, and you do that, and everyone gets to see it. So moving because this is your journey, and then your voice and your identity in the world, moving more towards some partnership and marriage stuff. Let's talk about that because I mean, I think people probably do wonder when they look because when you look at social media, and when you look at what you see on people's profile pictures, it all looks like love and light, and it all looks like people have a perfect life, and it's like their life has been filtered, through an Instagram filter. So, true, real questions here. What have you learned about yourself through our marriage? And how do we practice staying in love as a frequency, not just as a feeling?
So I've learned a lot about myself through our marriage. But the biggest thing I would say at the moment would be that I actually really enjoy sharing responsibilities and sharing a life with someone. So I mean, I've been in relationships before. I've actually been married before. I do have a daughter, but I don't feel like it was a shared relationship. I felt like it was more uh, dictatorship. We got a one way, and I just kind of fell in line and after that marriage, I did have a period of time of being single, and so it was just me, and I was doing it all on my own. I was successful, and I had, I paid all my own bills, and I had my own house, and there is a sense of freedom and like and pride to that. But being with you, I have learned that it's okay to share responsibilities, and I love having a life partner and someone to share those things with and share not just the tough times, but the good times. It's I am not someone who prefers to be alone. There are people in this world that they don't want a spouse or a partner. They like to do whatever they want to do when they want to do it, and not have to answer to someone. But I like having someone. I love having someone to come home to and to share my day with and to cook with and to clean with and to do all the fun things in life with. So it's,
Mm.
sharing. Sharing is caring.
Well, what a phrase. We should
Right.
so that's quotable. That's TikTokable, as they
Oh
say.
my goodness.
Um, but how do we practice staying in love as a frequency, not just a feeling? Because truthfully, you don't always necessarily feel in love like the Hollywood version. But how do we what's maybe one or two things that you think we do to cultivate that?
Yeah. So no matter what tough times we face, that or arguments or close intense moments of fellowship, as you call them, because we don't argue, but they get a little heated at times. That we're on the same team. That it's not, there is not a you or I. There's not a winner or a loser. It's us together trying to find, the answer or find a solution. And if there's not one, that's okay too. That we'll agree to disagree, but that we're on the same team. That it's all love and that we together we can accomplish anything. So it's, staying in love as a frequency. It's yeah, I mean so for example, so love to me is not a straight line. It's not obviously it's not a straight line. It's not, always happy. There's a lot of ups and downs, ebbs and flows, but it's all energy. And so for me, I just remind myself that even if we're in a lull, or we're not feeling in love, that I do love you and that I am absolutely happy with the relationship that we have. So it's just a daily reminder. For me, I have to remind myself. And I mean, I think everyone should at times, when things happen, even good or bad. I mean, it doesn't have to be all bad. It can be in the good. Sometimes we get so busy with life that we forget to remind ourselves that, you love that person and you're building a life with that person.
Mm, I love it. Yeah. So, what is one challenge though that you could say we have walked through that you feel like has really strengthened our bond?
So I feel like this is actually something we're currently walking through, which is perfect. But finding the balance between work life and home life. So,
Mm.
you and I, we work together and we live together. So, those lines can tend to blur. But, it's very important to remind yourself or to find ways to remind yourself that you're a couple. Not only are you partners in your business, but you're also a couple. You're my person. And so it's very important to find ways, get creative with ways to separate that and find the balance between your work life and your home life.
Well, there you go. It has been an interesting kind of challenge with all of the transition that our spiritual community has been in, and because of the transition, a lot of the work that we do is remote.
Hmm.
Including the meetings that we hold with our leadership teams and staff members and production teams and stuff. And so we are we are constantly together in the same space. I mean, we essentially sit across a desk from each other 4 days a week, and then we're in it together at the church on services for Sundays for services. So yeah, I mean it's been quite a challenge, but I think we've met the challenge. You know what I mean? Like we still have moments where obviously we have to say, hey, enough's enough, or look, I don't want to talk about ministry right now. I just don't want to the rest of the day. I've had all I can take of it. And I like that we've given each other space for that. Like you don't judge me for that. When I say, listen, I've been in it and I'm up to my ears with it. I don't want to talk about anything First Unity anymore. I don't even want to talk about spiritual concepts. Let's just get goofy. And speaking of getting goofy, how how does humor uh, keep us grounded? Like, because that's something that you and I have had since our first date.
We have. I'm actually not gonna tell that one though, just because, I mean, it was really funny, but, I don't feel like it has kept us grounded. That was really the beginning of where it all began and how one of the many ways and that I fell in love with you.
Yeah,
But to
you would have
me,
had to have been there too. I mean, yeah, for the event.
yeah, but this particular situation to me, it did keep us grounded and it just reminded us of, things happen and you can pivot. But, John and I, we took a trip to Chicago a couple years ago and we missed our flight home. We were taking the L train, did not account for the time. I'm a planner, y'all. I'm a planner, but I did not account for the time, and we missed our flight home. And it was on a Saturday, literally before a Sunday service, and that was the last flight of the day. So we're sitting in the airport, and we could be pissed. We could be so upset that we've missed our flight, and now Sunday services. We're not going to be there to make sure that's taken care of, and we've got to find someone to speak. But instead of getting upset about it, we were like, well, look, on the bright side, we get one more night to stay in Chicago because we had a blast. We didn't want to leave. I wasn't ready to go. So we went back to the place we stayed and had one more night and flew home the next day. So even when something crazy like that happens and you think it's such a shakeup, it's not. I mean, sometimes those are blessings. Sometimes those give opportunity for more fun. So, yeah.
Yeah, that event totally fits the saying. You ain't from around here, are you? Like we did not know.
Yeah.
And this is the thing we've been able to do together. We've experienced Chicago together, Boston together, New York together. Did I say Chicago? I said Chicago. London together, Edinburgh, Scotland, Dublin, Ireland, Sedona. So places that can get quite busy.
Hmm.
We've experienced that together, and it's cool because like it's not like we go through those situations with no like you know, well, I was trying to think of the best way to frame it or to say it. It's not like we go through those situations without there being some frustrating moments, some stressful moments, and some moments where, frankly, we don't want to talk to each other. It's not that we don't experience that, but ultimately, it ends up just kinda being funny, and, like, even when we're kinda being tense with each other, I 'cause I remember in that Chicago experience, basically, we ended up just kinda laughing together, like, "Okay, this is so dumb. There is no point in us being upset because we can't change it by being mad and by being upset. So let's just goof off." And we did. We goofed off for the rest of the day and into the night, and we figured it out. So I like that. I love that. And I
Mhm.
love that that's the kind of person you are, that you really, because you are a planner and you're a little more, I think you would agree with this, you're a little more, OCD maybe than me is the right word. I don't know, maybe OC not right word, but the right, I mean, that's not OCD, but you're a little more,
High
structured than I
strung.
am.
I'm high strung. Let's just call it out. I'm high strung and I don't typically take those kind of things very well. I usually get very flustered and upset about it. So it was a beautiful moment that we did not get flustered and upset.
Yeah, and we got a chance to spend another night in Chi-town, so it was fun. We had a great time with that. So, we talked a little bit about this, but maybe revisit it as we're getting ready to sort of wind down our chat together. How do you personally reset your frequency when life feels heavy, and what practices bring you back to joy and peace?
So for me, moving my energy around, not being still, and I know that's an interesting concept because some people go to stillness meditation. I like to move my energy. I like to move my body. So I do something adventurous, and to get my mind out of wherever I've been. And obviously, Universal Studios, any type of theme park, I love it. Going to the gym, moving your body, getting those endorphins pumping, that also resets my frequency. But bowling, I mean, anything like that, anything for me, doing something, moving my energy around, because sometimes the energy can feel sticky and it can feel icky. Moving it around resets it. It's like a palate cleanse for my body.
Mm,
I love it.
mm.
So excuse me, I'm an adventurous person, and so anything like that, that's my jam.
Yeah, actually, a few years ago, I think it was the first holiday season we spent here. By the way, folks, if you hear weed eaters and lawnmowers and stuff like that, because it's because Kerri or we're actually doing this adventurous interview from our home, and so it's just happening. If you hear that stuff in the background, just enjoy the sound and imagine the smell of fresh cut grass.
Amen.
Anyway, I was saying that the first year that we were here, in, St. Pete, I decided to do a series called Adventure, Add to Your Venture, and the person who inspired that was Carrie. I don't
Mhm.
know if I've ever told you
You
that
have.
you are the person that I got the idea that you're somebody who is adventurous, which means you're adding to your venture. It means you're bringing adding value to your journey. That's to me what adventure really means. And
Absolutely.
I've watched you do that. It's pretty powerful, and it's one of the ways to move out that sense of heaviness because we have a world right now that's pretty heavy with a lot of different things, and to be able to move that around is pretty powerful. So how do you see love, joy, and peace flowing in our family and our community? And how that ties in with what is life's biggest frequency lesson for you right now?
So just allowing each other to be authentic, no pressure to be anyone other than who you are, especially in our family. I will say, John and I, we do have a son that lives at home with us, and we allow him to be himself. And, we're not asking him to be anything more than what he is. We allow him to experience life on his own terms. Obviously we're there as support and if he needs something, but he's his own individual person. And so just allowing each other in our home to be authentic and that knowing that this is a safe space for each other to grow and flow. So
That's awesome.
for our community, I would say um, continuing to support our community in the way that we do, obviously ministry wise, but encouraging them into daily practices to remind yourself to live love, joy, and peace. I know a lot of sermons that we we provide for our community really just the reminders. I mean, they already know who they are. It's just gentle reminders. Sometimes you just need to be reminded.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And speaking to that too, I mean, we have diversity within our family. Now, from the outside looking in, we look very Caucasian, white family norms. For the most part, people would think we look like the normal white little fluffy family. But guys, we have a lot of diversity in our
Mhm.
family, and we have a lot of different views that you might be surprised about. Like, I believe that sexism has been a real thing, and I just don't believe that patriarchy is okay in our family. I believe in empowering women. We both, Kerri and I both believe in the power of the woman. We're both feminists, really, in our own way. We're both. Not only are we, not intentionally not being racist, we're actually
Mhm.
doing anti-racist things. In other words, we're raising the bar in terms of equality. We are embracing of our children and whatever their sexual orientations are, whatever their identities are across the board. And I can tell you, Kerri and I are in agreement on that. And even on some of the things that neither one of us understand fully, because there's something cropping up all of the time that we may not understand fully. We just really kind of look at it and go, you know what? Listen, you guys, you have to discover who you are. And
Mhm.
so as parents, we have different parenting styles, don't get me wrong. And actually some of our heaviest and most intense moments of fellowship have been over our different style of parenting. But when it comes to the fundamental belief that our children came here loaded and coated with their own identity, their own dreams, their own aspirations, we give them safety to talk about who they are. They can talk to us about anything. Oh my gosh. I mean, Alyssa can talk to her mom about anything. And she can talk to me about anything. Ashton, Brianna, Gavin, Rhett, they all know that they have a safe space here. And that's something that we're going to continue to do because we just believe that love, joy, and peace comes into a family when you have that sense of safety and belonging. So
Absolutely.
that's something I can say that we both believe in.
Mhm.
So in closing, what excites you in spite of how we see things going in this country, right? What excites you about the future for yourself first, maybe for us as a couple, but for this community as well? So those three, what excites you about the future?
So for myself, I'm actually really looking forward to engaging and being a part of the School of Human Divinity. That is something that a program that John is developing and will be going live in January, I believe. And I'm really looking forward to that. I mean, I know I feel very confident on my path of my spiritual journey, but I absolutely want to learn more. I want to grow more and just open myself up to learning different modalities of ministry. I mean, I feel I'm very confident in my ministry of love and connection, one-on-one connection, but I'd love to strengthen maybe even my meditation skills or my prayer skills, holding space verbally, not just emotionally or energy wise, but verbally, So I'm really looking forward to that. It's just all part of the growth, and I know it's only gonna definitely take me higher. So I'm looking forward to that. For us as a couple, actually I'm looking forward to continuing growing the ministry that you and I are both a part of. I mean, I feel like it has been a whirlwind of emotions from the beginning. We're now 3.5 years into where we are here in St. Petersburg, but I'm really looking forward to growing it and seeing where it grows and where it goes and, more people joining our community and just watching this expanding consciousness just flow and explode. I'm looking forward to that. But then as a community, I really and I know you speak this a lot, but I really do feel as well that we are right at the beginning or in a global awakening where people are waking
Mm.
up and they're seeing things are not as they thought they were. And I really believe if we all push into this and not shine away because we're afraid or it feels uncomfortable, if we really push into this together as a globe, as a world, as a community, that we absolutely can cure a lot of the issues we have, and it will really bring us together.
I agree. I agree with you on that. If you could broadcast one message, and this is the title of this podcast is Living in Frequency. So that's one of the reasons I use these terms. But if you could broadcast one message, in other words, something that you would say with your words and with your life out into the universe today, what would it be?
Well, we talked about it earlier, but funding your fun is something I absolutely would tell people to do. It's extremely important to not only plan for things that you want to experience in your life, but to fund it, to put your not just your money, but put your energy towards. Funding is not just money. It could be funding it energy emotionally. And so make sure that you are stopping to smell the roses. Make sure that you are taking that trip that you've always wanted to take. Make sure that you are telling the people that you love on a daily basis how much you love them, because we're not guaranteed tomorrow. Life is too short to be miserable. So have a blast.
I love it. I love it. Well, folks, you have been a part of a not so private conversation between my wife and I. And it has been lovely to spend this time with you. Kerri, this is something different. This is another milestone for us. And
It is, yes.
I hope that there will be more of them. And I'm excited about you being a part of the School of Human Divinity, really because it's a long time dream of mine to offer this option for people who don't feel, connected to any particular religious bend or to any particular religious denomination, but they still feel called to some level of ministry in terms of spiritual leadership, right, out in the world. And there's 31 years of experience that I have that I've felt compelled by, by God, by presence recently to start sharing with others, not from an expert standpoint, but from hey, there's some stuff I've learned over the years. And most of it I've learned through the school of hard knocks, but I learned it and would like to relay it. And so I'm happy, Kerri, that you're coming along on that journey too. Folks, thank you for being here. Thank you for making this podcast maybe one of your favorites on your list. For more information about all we've been talking about in terms of our community, go to firstunity.org. That is our spiritual community. It's First Unity Church, 100 years old. Actually, we're in the 101st year now. 100 years old, been in St. Pete for that long. But we are a new, fresh version of that. And who knows what all it'll be called in the future. But what I can tell you is that it's a beautiful, diverse community. Go check us out on firstunity.org. Kerri, is there anything else that you would like to say as we get ready to depart?
No, it's been an honor. And like I said, this is my very first podcast. So definitely something I'd like to do more of in the future.
Awesome. All right, folks, the music's going to get started. You'll hear a few messages as we start to leave today. Thank you for being a part of Living in Frequency. Have a good one. Hey there. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please consider liking and following us, making us a favorite on your list, and maybe sharing us with a friend. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in to Living in Frequency. We'll see you next time. This podcast is brought to you today by iconsiderall.com. iconsiderall.com. Josh Johnson and all of his crew over there would love a visit from you if you're interested in being a part of their inclusionist movement. And it's also brought to you by Scott Free Coaching. Yeah, that's right. I am a transformational spiritual life coach, and I offer private, confidential one-on-one sessions, coaching about everything from relationship to business to purpose, spirituality, dealing with religious trauma. And if you're interested, reach out to me, scottfreecoaching@gmail.com. Isn't that professional? scottfreecoaching@gmail.com.